Hey folks, thanks for coming by. I'll make this video. This is an exciting video. It's been a while since I made one. However, this one has a lot in it, and this is in regards to Kathleen Zellner's briefing that she filed for the Stephen Avery case. He's innocent. I'm going to show you the stuff that she said in an unofficial press conference. I'm going to show you the documents that she has with that briefing. I'm going to show you where she says, not if or it could have been, she says in this case stuff was planted. She also said they've already done testing that shows Stephen Avery is innocent and points to another suspect. That's already been done. She said they've already done that testing. I don't know where they got the evidence, what they have, what they found, but they found something. She said they've already done it. It shows he's innocent. It points to another suspect. That's already done. I think the reason she's requesting all this other testing, all this, it's a whole lot of testing, is they want to prove that this stuff was planted, and they want to prove who did it. They want to see whose DNA, whose fingerprints are on these boxes, on this stuff, on this evidence. They want to see whose unidentified fingerprints are on the SUV, which I'm going to guess Colburn and Link or Ryan. I'm going to show you the document that shows that the vehicle was recovered on November 3rd, not the 5th. In the documentary, we saw it was on the 5th when Pam discovered it, when she walked right to it. And all those, 4,000 cars, in 20 minutes, she went right to it. The big man showed her the way. I don't think so. I didn't buy it. I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you phone records that she provided of the ex-boyfriend, Ryan, where November 4th, the day after the car was really recovered, and in the afternoon, evening before it was planted, he's got around 20 phone calls from law enforcement to his cell phone. She has the phone records. Why are they calling him? And then the next day, he gives this camera to Pam that he got from the sheriff, and she just happens to find the vehicle. Too many coincidences, too much stuff going on. Anyway, I'm going to show you all this stuff. I'll show you these clips. If you watch this video and after it's done, if you don't think that this SUV was planted and you don't think something funny was going on, I don't know what else would make you do that except for the testing that will come out later. I'm going to show you all this stuff. And also, I'm going to show you the clips from this unofficial press conference. And something that she said, which was the way it came about, is kind of funny. But there was a guy from the Stephen Avery family Facebook group who's ran by Stephen's niece, Carla. He's doing a live feed on his phone to the Facebook group. So we're watching. These reporters are there, and they're asking their normal questions, and they're elbowing, and they're, asking, well, what's it, like the questions they always ask, and she's, on guard. Well, after she's done with that, this guy, Damien, says, hey, I'm with the Facebook group, with Carla's group, the family group. Is there anything you want to say to him? And she's like, great. Tell him we're excited, and we're gonna prove what happened, what really happened. We're going to show what happened. Well, then someone else asked her a question. And I think when Damien had asked her this question, she kind of let her guard down. Because she comes right back and she says, what you have to remember in this case is there was a lot of evidence that was planted. I'm going to show you that first. She says, matter of fact, it was planted. Where before, she's always said, we're going to test to see if it could have been. But in this moment, after Damien, I think, got her off guard, she came right out and said, you have to remember in this case, there is planted evidence. She knows it already, and she said it. And then she said the buccal swabs on the that they took out of Stephen's cheek, they take DNA. She thinks those were used to plant evidence on the key and on that hood latch on the SUV that was recovered, that was planted at the salvage yard. Because, Kratz kept saying it's sweat DNA. There is no such thing as sweat DNA. Never, ever. When Kratz says that and he continues to say that, he's lying. He's a liar. Big liar. Big, fat liar you are, Kratz. Anyway, she's going to test. She thinks that the hood latch DNA is saliva DNA, which means those swabs that they took, they used to plant his DNA. And then when they tested, they came back with matches for his DNA. But now they can test and see if the DNA came from blood, urine, skin, or saliva. They can test those 4 things. So when that test comes back and it shows that it was saliva, oh man, there's going to be hell to pay in Manitowoc County. I feel bad for all the residents who pay taxes because they're the ones that are going to have to pay for all of this. This civil lawsuit that's going to happen when Mr. Avery gets out, the taxpayers, they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay for all this. And all the testing, this whole case that was done, they're all going to pay for that. They ought to be upset and they need to make a change at that place. And the residents have to do it. But, all right, let me show you the clip where she says that, and then I'm going to show you these other things that go along with this briefing that show, in my opinion, that stuff was planted. Thanks for watching.
But I can tell you that the testing we've already done will establish Mr. Avery's innocence. But we're going to do the whole thing. We're going to do every conceivable test. We've been contacted by scientists all over the world. The other thing we're going to do in the petition is we're going to lay out all of our investigation that we have done that will point to a third party. But remember, there are a lot of things planted in this, so we're not. But remember, there are a lot of things planted in this, so we're not just talking blood. We're talking buccal swabs. Not just talking blood. We're talking buccal swabs. There's a lot of different variations on this. So that's the problem. If you do something, if you did plant the evidence, that science is going to catch up with you, and that's what we're going to see in this. We're going to be able, I think, to show that that's saliva on the hood latch. So now the test exists, so you can tell if it's saliva or blood or just epithelial cells. There's no such thing as sweat DNA. So we've got, I think, the best scientists in the country, and they're going to answer all of those questions.
Now have a look at this document. This shows Toyota RAV4 recovered. Look at the date on the left. I'm going to zoom in here. That's November 3rd, 2 days before it was recovered at the salvage yard. Okay, right here is a copy of Ryan's phone records from November 4th. Actually, in the motion, it has the whole month. But November 4th in the afternoon, you can see around 4 o'clock, he started getting these calls that have no caller ID. Zellner is claiming that those are from law enforcement. I'm sure she knows. She can prove that they are. But from 4-something till 7:30 at night before, the day before that SUV's recovered, they're all over him. What's up with that? Here is a newspaper article from November 8th that Mike Halbach is interviewed on November 7th, which is 2 days after the vehicle was found at the salvage yard. In here he says, no news right now is good news. They didn't find evidence of harmful acts. It's good news for us. I go on and on and on with this stuff. I think just right here what I've showed you is enough to show that the vehicle was planted. I mean, this newspaper article right here, the car was recovered on the 5th from the salvage yard, but it was really recovered on the 3rd. law enforcement had 4 days to look inside that vehicle. On the 7th, they hadn't told Mike or the family anything about any blood, any evidence of her being in trouble, nothing like that. Because on Monday the 7th, Mike, who was speaking for the family, he was the family spokesperson, he said they didn't find any evidence of any harm. So for 4 days, law enforcement has that vehicle. There is not any blood in there. There's nothing that shows harm was done to her. But that afternoon, on the 4th, is when law enforcement is planning on planting that SUV out there. And then after that, when they got it back to their place, they had access to it. And then they had access to Mr. Avery's blood and his swabs. And then they started planting stuff in that vehicle. You can see the blood that's by the ignition. You can see that was placed by a Q-tip. We figured that out a long time ago. So just the fact that the vehicle's found on the 3rd and then it appears on the 5th at the salvage yard. Mike is saying that there's no harm. Law enforcement's calling Ryan over and over. If you look at the sign-in sheets, Ryan's out at the salvage yard. He shouldn't be there. He's signing in. Why is he going out to the salvage yard on the 6th and the 7th and the 8th? He doesn't need to be there. He's not with law enforcement. He's involved. And Kathleen knows how he's involved. And if you're watching this and you're involved, you better call somebody and you better help. You better turn against these guys so that your sentence is not as bad as it's going to be. Because science is caught up with this. And it's just a matter of time. Kathleen said 3 months for this testing to be done. Winter's coming. And so is Zellner. So thanks for watching. Subscribe so you get notifications for future videos. Take care.